Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's Kind of a Funny Podcast. I'm your host, Philip Duke. The show today is from October 11th, 2010. It's called Anal Sex, Bad Jobs, and Money's No Object, as you could tell from the title. We talk about what would you do for $500. Sean calls in with Sergio and I and explains some of his ideas for questions of what you would do for $500. Then Sergio and I read the news, different odd stories in the news that we find interesting. Then we talk about anal sex, and then Sean calls in again to tell us about anal sex and some other things and ideas. Pretty funny. Then, if you could buy anything, what would it be? And ours, we said, excuse me, by the way, that what we would buy for that much money. I almost gave it away. So you got to listen to it. Talk about some bad jobs that we had. Talk about the funnest jobs that we've had. We talk about a couple movies that were coming out in 2010. And it's all done on Blog Talk Radio. As I explained before, I would call into a server. Sergio would call in to that same server. I would pick up. We would talk, do the show. It would record it. Then when Sean calls in, I answer the phone on the server, and he's recorded into it as well. So, like I said, it's a good show. This show made me laugh a lot, so it's very funny. So please listen, because I love it. So, without further ado, here's Anal Sex, Bad Jobs, and Money's No Object.
Sign outside and it said that you have $500, and so
what? $500?
yes, I would like $500.
You want $500?
Yes, I would like $500.
You want $500?
Yes, I want $500.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's kind of a funny story. I'm Philip.
And I'm Sergio, and I take it that was an ode to last week's show. What would you do for $500?
That, and I have a couple of things that I wanted to add to that, because my friend Sean brought up a really good one.
Did you want his name mentioned with what he would do for $500?
He didn't do anything for it.
Oh,
he
okay.
asked me what I would do, and I want to pass it on to you. But first off, I want to apologize for the sound for last week's show. It was horrible. And remember when I said I wanted to rape someone a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
It was fabulous. Well, Sean a couple weeks ago said he wanted. No, we drove by and saw this girl, and I said, I was making a joke because we talked about how odd it was that I said I want to rape somebody, and should I rape her? And he goes, no, but I want to cut off all of her tattoos, like she was.
I don't think you and Sean should be hanging out together, man.
Well, I said, do it, and then no, I said, I go, wow, and you thought I was messed up. I was just joking, but you had conviction in your heart when you said
it sounded like he had conviction and a plan already. He had the duct tape and the plastic bags lining his trunk. And he's like, we could do it, Philip. He was just, he was just waiting for your okay, for your like, all right, but we got to be quick. I'll rape her. You cut off her tattoos. And he probably would have pulled over, opened the trunk, and threw in there.
Broad daylight. Now, my thing with the $500 is on last week's show, I said I would eat a shit milkshake.
Yeah.
Because the sound was horrible, so nobody heard what we said. I said I'd eat a shit milkshake because it's ice cream and shit, so the ice cream would overpower it.
You would hope. How strong is shit?
Well, it depends. Yeah, it depends on what they eat, like you said.
Yeah, if they went to Taco Bell, I think the Taco Bell shit would over. Oh, that's gross. Really? That's gross. giving you out a Taco Bell shit as opposed to a shit milkshake.
I was thinking about when you went to Filiberto's the one time, and you couldn't even make it home because you were like, you live close, right? I go, yeah. You go, I need to use the restroom. You were in there for like an hour. My dad's going, why is he, what's, I go, don't ask. He's in there, and don't go in there later because of it. So you had that, and then you shit in a fucking ice cream bowl? That'd be horrible.
Yeah. And then that's telling everybody don't eat at Filiberto's either.
Well, it's good food, but just don't eat ice cream shit
If you eat the food when you're sitting on a toilet, it just kind of goes just right through you, man, and you don't got to worry about anything. No calories even.
Dump it in the toilet.
Well, I don't know. Depends on how much you like Filiberto's. If you still want the taste and the burning asshole, well, then go for it.
That's probably why everybody does the rolled tacos, because they're kind of safe. The other ones are bad. And then you said what you wouldn't do is blow a dude for $500.
Yeah.
And I offered $1,000, and you thought about it. So Sean then said, how about get on your knees and a guy urinates in your mouth, and you just got to sit there and take it. Like either I always imagine you're laying on your back and the guy's peeing on you.
Yeah.
So now it's like fucking splattering, and you got to close your eyes.
Now, is this for the $1,000 or for the $500?
For $500.
No. There's no way. Wait a minute, and there's a then? I just said no. There can't be a then.
Well, after he asked that, then he was saying, well, no, you wouldn't lay on your back. You'd be on your knees, and you'd urinate. And then I have a caller. 1 second, caller, and I'll get to you. And the second one that he said, he goes, then what about taking a guy's hot load in your mouth?
Oh, God.
So he said, I'm just swallowing it. You just take it. And the guy doesn't have to wipe it off on your lip or nothing, but
I guess the peeing thing could be negotiated if the other option was taking a load into your throat, really.
No.
Do you think you'd ever get that taste out of your mouth, man? If a guy fucking left his load in my throat, I would gargle with his urine just to get that taste out of my mouth.
So I'm saying, Sean started with the urine. I would have started with it. Would you do a hot load, and then, okay, you wouldn't, how about urine? And then you go, what's that hot load? Well, it's pretty bad. But let's see who this caller is. Hello, caller, you're on the air?
Hey, guys, it's Sean.
Oh, Sean.
Hey, Sean. Do you have a load in your mouth and a guy standing over you?
No, but I just got done pissing in my mouth. That was kind of hard to do with my belly. But no, I heard the Filiberto's comment, and I just have to call and confirm that I think eating Filiberto's is like drinking the water in Mexico. If you do it enough, you get used to it and you don't have, the problem. But it's been like a month or two since I've had Filiberto's. I had it last night, and I've been in the bathroom pretty much all day today. So it's like one of those things where, but I do think your body builds up a tolerance to it. Like, if you eat it, once a week for a couple of weeks, you're probably good. Like drinking the water in Mexico, you eventually get used to it. So.
I don't know if that's a good tolerance, though, man. I mean, it's equivalent. It sounds like it's equivalent to a New York pizza. They use New York water to make it taste good. This is a Mexican restaurant, so they use Mexican water to give you the shit.
This is coming from a person who built up such a tolerance that I burnt a hole through my nose with cocaine. So I'm not real concerned about, I guess, the Filiberto's.
Yeah.
I guess I'd rather eat Filiberto's.
Apparently you're a glutton for punishment, for one thing. And you have a little bit of a compulsive personality.
Yeah, a little bit of addictive and compulsive, yeah. But yeah, the thing with the second thing for the $500, I just wanted to add a little more detail to that too. You have to be sitting on your knees in front of the dude while he, takes care of himself, and then he just, shoots it into your mouth. You don't have to swallow it. After he's done, you can spit it out and everything, but, I can masturbate while he's doing it. What's that?
Yeah. The funny part is that you really thought this through.
No, I was going to the bathroom when Philip was up here, and the two thoughts just popped into my head. And I'm like, well, I'm going to bring those up to him. So I have a kind of demented mind, so that comes in and out on a regular basis.
Well, even describing it as lovely as that is, of him standing over me, I still say no, man.
Well, Philip said he was going to eat a poop milkshake.
You know what? That was his logic of I think the ice cream would overpower the shit smell and taste. And I don't know what ice cream he's been eating. What about a hot load milkshake?
Ooh, no, now you're talking. As long as there's cream involved, I'm in.
Like in your coffee, that way it could be hot, and then you could be like the creamer in your coffee.
There you go.
Would the semen ball up like little chunks of surprises in your ice cream because it's cold?
Sounds like somebody who's jerked off in the shower before and the water's been too warm, and you get that coagulated feeling all over you. Sergio speaking.
I hate when I get in my hair, on my head.
Oh, on your head? That's awesome. I got it all over my butt hair, but that's a whole nother story. Have a good show, guys.
Either you're gay or banking off the sides of the shower.
Oh, does that sound good?
Yeah, no, the sound definitely sounds good tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Take it easy, guys.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. You got any more things that you wanted to clarify about the $500?
Oh, that was it. Well, that I wouldn't take urination in my mouth, and I wouldn't take a hot load in my mouth.
But now we got to change the subject into the hot load milkshake.
Oh, well, that.
Because you obviously you said you drink a shitty milkshake. Well, how about a hot load milkshake?
No.
Why is that? Now, why is that so grotesque compared to the shit milkshake?
Because I imagine that, like, I'm looking at you now, and I imagine that going, here's your milkshake, and all I can think about is you 5 minutes before coming in my milkshake. And that's horrible. Not the shit milkshake. I always imagine my own shit.
No. So you imagined your own shit, but why is that okay? Why is your own shit better to eat than someone else's shit?
Just like you said.
What about like Lance Armstrong? He's got to be a healthy guy, He's got to have healthy, firm turds.
It's the whole thing of you don't know what they ate earlier, and for some reason, I always jump back to what you said that cracked me up weeks ago about that guy. It must have been what that guy ate that made that woman get sick on his semen. Because now all I think about is some guy eating a greasy burger and then coming in my milkshake. I don't always think about that.
Every time you're eating a burger now, that's all you think about?
Horrible.
Well, now every time you see Sean, you're just going to think of a semen-covered asshole, hairy asshole.
On my knees right away when I'm in front of Sean. He urinates in my mouth and urinates back. But, okay, you said you wanted to go in a different, you want to do odd news stories first?
I came across some stories, man, I just thought were strange. And this one kind of goes in line with the whole sex subject, because we're talking about semen and you eating men's stuff. This is in Zimbabwe, okay? It might be a community you'd love to walk around in as a young man. They've been having women gangs kidnap, drug, and rape men. Now, initially I thought, well, raping men, I thought they were maybe getting back for all the raping and pillaging some of these African communities have been doing against the women. No, they're just raping these men. They don't know why. They just know that there's different gangs, and it's been happening more frequently over the last year in Zimbabwe, kidnapping these men, then drugging them. And the men will sometimes come awaken, in a haze and have these women pleasuring him, basically.
Wow. That's kind of a good way to go. You got drugs and rape. You got drugs and sex. Sex, drugs, all you need is rock and roll. Did they play rock and roll for you?
There's another one that a guy was forced to have sex with a woman at gunpoint. Could you do that, you think? I think the pressure would be too much. I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I'd have to be like, put the gun down or something.
Well, it depends on what you look like.
Yeah. I mean, although, you know, what would be bad is if you could get yourself to do it, then that might turn into a fetish of yours that you'd be like, honey, I need you to put this gun to my temple before I come.
Gun in my mouth.
Put this revolver in my mouth right before I come. And then she comes and has a spasm in her finger and fucking blows your head off.
So I thought that was really interesting. Oh, there's a story here locally in town that I thought was really, really funny. So this guy, he's at 20 to 25 years old, goes into a liquor store to rob it. They described him as 5'10", about 180 pounds, wearing khaki pants, dark shirt, and a plastic bag to cover his face. So as he's going through the process of telling this guy, hey, you know, give me your money, give me this, whatever, he starts to suffocate himself because he didn't pop holes in the bag. He just shoved it on his head and started robbing the place. And so he then has to rip off the bag and gasp for air while the video cameras, you know, get shots of his face and proceed with the robbery. You're like, do you stop and go, that's a joke, and leave, or are you convicted to I'm gonna go ahead and go through with it. I might as well. I'm already here. Yeah, I'm already here. I already got the bag on. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep going.
Yeah. Here's a news story that I have that I found very interesting. Woman uploads child porn. Police raid her neighbor's house. Then it really gets strange. What had happened was Candace Miller, 31, was the woman next door. She has 2 young kids. Oh, hang on. Cops busted in his house. I keep going back. Okay. Want one good reason to secure your internet connection? Ted Davis has one. Cops busted in his house, threw him on the floor, and searched the place. But the only thing they found was that the filthy woman next door was stealing his internet connection and uploading child porn. Uploading, not downloading, uploading. Candace Miller, 31, was the young woman next door. She has 2 young kids, and as thing as it is to type this, the child porn she had been uploading with Davis' connection was of her having sex with them. After Miller was arrested for the child porn, sexual battery, child abuse, and incest, she told police she met a guy who said he had a PhD in psychology on a website for single parents. Her new friend told her that having sex with their children would improve her relationship with them. Oh, and apparently he also threw in pics, or it didn't happen, too.
See, you know what? I lean towards a conservative when I hear these stories because they don't. You have to get a fucking license to drive a 1,300-pound car, but you don't have to get a fucking license to be a parent. That woman's obviously either mentally retarded or just on the cusp of being of riding the fucking short bus. And somebody banged her and fucking gave her multiple kids, I assume, right?
Well, it's something that I just I heard earlier today on the Smodcast was it was a thing that George Carlin had said on one of his comedy albums, which was because I'm agreeing that she should have been aborted as a child, as bad as it sounds. But the thing is, he said, you ever realize that the people you meet that are against abortion are the people that you wouldn't want to fuck anyway? So, but another one I have that I put on our Facebook page was dead teen's classmates discover his brain in jar. So this kid had died, and they had done the autopsy, everything, took his brain and put it in a jar, and had it was there for like a year or 2, and then kids went on a field trip, and they're going through the morgue, and they go across this jar with a brain in it, and it says Jimmy blah, 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 whatever, the kid's name. And one of the kids, it's like his friend, and he starts flipping out, and the girl's flipping out, and the guy had said that one of the doctors said, oh, well, I save up so many brains, and I come in and every 5 brains or something, because I have to drive so far that I analyze them this way. And it was just messed up where they should have done that and put it away. I mean, if you're that kid's parents, if you're the parents and it was your son or your daughter, and all of a sudden, you know, your kid's your kids' friends come over and they're like, guess what? We just saw fucking Jimmy's.
But that's
blah,
like
blah,
a
blah."
beginning of a horror movie or something, man. When you see your buddy's brains. I have a weird one. It involves the military and it involves boys.
You got me on both counts.
not necessarily connected in that way, but the military forces in Afghanistan are when they're there, they tend to see a lot of men walking, holding hands with a young boy, usually dressed as a woman. And it's an odd occurrence in Afghanistan that for all their religious practices, they have one that they don't, and it's not a religion, but all the religious practices that are against homosexuality, they have one exception, that if you're allowed to take a young male as a sexual partner. And a lot of times what they'll do is they have these boys dance for them. They dress them as little women, and they have a party with all these men that surround these that are in a big circle, and these boys come out and they dance for them erotically, and then the men can grab the boys and do what they want. The reason they do this is because the men in their community and the women aren't allowed to socialize in that way.
Wow.
So the only way they can get off basically is to get these little men boys.
It's like, yeah, you can't have a woman sex slave, so you gotta have a boy. That's so my word is get a moving truck and move. Don't assimilate to the culture, just leave that culture. But my another one that I have here is it's thousands of stimulus checks sent in error. This was
I didn't get
Obama sent the checks.
Yeah.
The federal government last year sent about 89,000 checks for $250 each to dead or incarcerated people through the Obama administration economic stimulus program, according to a watchdog report. Social Security Administration distributed about $13 billion to 52 million eligible beneficiaries in the form of $250 checks as part of the economic recovery program. The program cost $814 billion. Most of the payments were issued properly, but SSA failed to check all available payment records or was unaware that beneficiaries had died, according to a report by Social Security Office. And about 71,600 recipients were dead before SSA certified their payments, received a total of $18 million, according to the report. Another 17,300 inmates received a total of $4.3 million. So it's like, SSA's just throwing out checks, and you always hear that about an old man's wife will die, and he'll just not report that she's dead.
Yeah, keep getting the checks until he need it. Yeah, but what do you do? The government's so fucked up that there's going to be mistakes. Unfortunately, that was a really high-costed mistake. But what do you do? You could add more government to watch more of them so that they didn't fuck up.
Programs, yeah. Watchdog for the watchdog, yeah. Then who's watching them? Yeah.
Never-ending circle.
Shit circle. All right. So, what did you want to talk about?
One of the subjects you brought up.
You threw me for a loop. You said I want to go in a different
one
order.
One of the topics that you brought up that you said you wanted to talk about was anal sex. My first thought was no thanks. I'm good.
Don't look over here because I'm going to put my pants back on.
But some of the things I looked up were some weird statistics. Like, obviously, you've heard that teenagers are now more apt to have.
Know some babies.
are more apt to have every single one of them. Are more apt to have anal sex. They believe a lot of these kids are thinking that it's okay now to do it in the ass before they do the real thing.
And your question is, where were they when you were in high school?
That's one of my questions. Yeah. But now, if you were to pick out a female nationality, what female nationality would you think would be the ones that would be having the most anal sex?
In my head, I was going to say Mexican, but I'm going to change it to
you're
black.
So fucking racist.
Black. I'll say black.
Now, why would you say black?
I don't know. It's a dirty culture.
Why couldn't it be white?
No.
Believe it or not.
guess it could be white. I don't know. You asked nationality, so I don't think you would ask the question if it wasn't something else.
Caucasian isn't a nationality?
Oh.
You guys are just blah. Vanilla.
You guys are weird.
Anal sex is the most common among Asian women in the U.S. between the age group of 18 to 24.
Wow, I'm going to go to the Chinese cultural.
Now, that
right
struck
now.
me as odd because the Asians seem to be more,
Well,
I know
smart
it's the stereotype, but yeah.
Smart and bad drivers. Yeah. No, and their vaginas are different, aren't they? Because their eyes are different. Their vaginas are sized.
Yeah. We're going to get some new listeners, man, all these fucking white Aryan guys.
And after you fuck a Chinese woman, you don't remember. You got to fuck her again because 30 minutes later you want more, just like the Chinese when you're not full.
I didn't get that until you said like Chinese food.
No, I was trying to lay out that joke in a way that everyone understood, even Mexicans. What's in her? It's first of all, it's mind blowing that a teenager. When we were teenagers, you were like, yeah, I'm a cock of the walk, I'm rule of the world, and whatever. And now you look at teenagers and you go, what dumb shit? I want to fucking slap every one of them. And they think they know everything. And fucking,
well, they are getting ass sex, so I mean, maybe they know more than us sometimes.
Maybe they are our new.
They're accomplishing the task that we couldn't.
What was that? That Whitney Houston said, teach them all and let them lead the way.
I was going to say, I was trying to think of a reference to anal sex that Whitney Houston made, and I don't remember when.
I was thinking of the, all the children. Oh, Sean's calling again for anal sex.
He's calling for anal sex.
That's right. Welcome to the anal sex hotline.
Yeah, this is now like my favorite show. Like Asians having anal sex and white supremacy. This is awesome. Can you guys do this every week?
And rape. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old women rape. That was good. I love that. I like that show. But no, this one I never realized. I'm looking for one of my Kobe type videos right now.
Kobe Ty.
Where did you get that reference? Unfortunately,
well, that is often on the internet now and losing our show because they just typed it into their search bar and they're like, oh, Kobe Ty.
Okay, I had to call in about that because that sounded good.
You don't have an anal sex story?
Oh, I do. I'm just not going to tell you about it.
Receiving or or giving. It's really up to you.
Never receiving. No. I had a girl once who tried to put her finger up there, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck do you think you're doing? And she's like, oh, other guys have like that. And I'm like, no, I'm not one of those other guys.
10 minutes later, huh?
10 minutes later. Yeah, but one thing, like, the one girl, she told me later, down the road that apparently I was pretty messed up the one night, and we were, fooling around and stuff, and apparently I missed the one hole and got in that one. She said it was pretty painful.
She didn't tell you anything, or were you just so fucked up that you were just kept going?
I think we were both so fucked up, and then later on she realized, oh, that hurt.
After that, she's like, I'm never doing coke with Sean again. Every time I do my asshole hurt in the morning.
Well, it usually led to that anyway. We'd usually go to that anyway, but this was just kind of, there was no preparation. They usually have to, get ready. You can't just, jam it in there. It has to be warmed up, I guess to say.
Did you cut off her tattoos when you were done?
No, she was tattoo-free. Otherwise I'd probably be in jail because that would have been the perfect time. I was a little out of my mind, and I would have strung up her skin.
Yeah.
It would have been awesome.
Oh, what a good Friday night.
Philip always wanted a trench coat. I wanted a tattooed flesh coat.
I didn't know that about you guys.
Philip always walked around. It'd be the middle of summertime. Yeah, well, Philip it'd be the middle of summer, and he'd be walking around in a trench coat and stuff, and so.
That's right, but mine wasn't made of human flesh. so I was okay.
Well, that's where we differ.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how many people I'd have to have now to get a coat that would fit me? Philip could be like one arm.
Yeah. Or pant leg or something.
No, you could never make it around my leg.
My thing with anal sex was, first of all, I don't get it. I don't understand. I've never had it, so maybe I'm wrong that I don't get it. But that's like masturbating with a baby's fist.
What?
I was thinking that because it's so tight that you would think you need a
Yeah,
smaller
no,
hand.
it definitely is. It's definitely, it's definitely tighter, and it's, it's just part of it is just that it's dirty. You're not supposed to. It's not supposed to be done that way and everything. But it's, when you get a girl that enjoys it and you've wanted to experiment with it. There's it wasn't my preference, but I wasn't going to turn it down if it was offered to me either. So. I'm talking about me being, the giver, not the taker.
My thing is first
guys walking up to Sean, fucking yes, yeah. Thought you never asked.
I had a strap on that I got from you guys when you were at Castle, and I just gave it to the girl and was like, "Here, your turn."
There you go. Don't use your finger. Use that. It's kind of serendipitous. Also, you say it's dirty. I see pigs rooting around their own shit and mud and their filth, and I don't think, wow, that's dirty. I'm going to try that. But
I don't mean dirty like the literal. I meant it more of the, nasty, dirty. Not, I never had anything come out, or when I was done, that I'd have to go wash up or anything like that. I usually make them, clean it off themselves anyway. So.
That little dirty Sanchez action.
I tried to, but they knew it was coming beforehand and fucking pushed me off the bed.
My serendipitous thing was that today I took the biggest shit. That does
not sound like the word to go with this conversation. Serendipity. It does add to the gayness, but not to the anal sex conversation.
It was the biggest shit I ever had, and it hurt. And I'm thinking, what the first of all, gay anal sex? What are you thinking about that? Because now my asshole's fucking ripped open. I'm bleeding right now, by the way. But it was horrible. It was one of those hard turds that just fucking. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but it was just one of those where you go, really, like,
Yeah, really, like that's.
I mean,
did you have to look back? You had to do that double take, like, am I bleeding? Fuck.
I had a raging hard on, but from my shit coming out.
I remember working at the Castle. They had every kind of lube you could think of, and one of the things I remember them selling. I don't remember ever selling one, but I know as time went on, there was a handful on the shelves, and then they slowly dwindled. I don't know whoever bought them, but it was it looked like a little ball with a little pipe coming off it, like what you would pull boogers out of a baby's nose with. You squeeze it and it sucks out. Well, I remember they had that, and it came with a bottle of lube. And apparently you would suck in the lube, shove that up your ass, the little the nozzle part, and then squeeze all that lube into your ass. And I think that's so much fucking preparation. Doesn't that kind of kill the moment? Let me get my little nozzle.
Exactly. Let me get my fixins, and you unroll everything, and they're like, I was in the moment. Now you're fucking analytical about it.
The way you were talking about stuff.
To go from experience, like there is the first girl I'd ever done it with. She had never done it before, so she was, very, whatever, and you had to get the lube, and she liked the Astroglide stuff because it kind of had, I guess, like a numbing agent or something like that. I don't know. And, she was just very,
Did the
had
Coke
to go.
Do that?
What's that?
Did the Coke do that?
Well, she wasn't into Coke yet, so that later on that was be able to be used, but, this was just
refusing.
the other
to do
girl that I was seeing, she was definitely a lot more experienced, and with her, she could just, spit on her fingers and, do whatever, and she was ready to go, and, it didn't take a whole lot to, it didn't have to go as slow, didn't have to, there wasn't all that preparation, everything like that, so that was definitely a lot more fun. Because it's definitely a different feeling. I've never, felt any turtle heads in there or anything like that. Thank God I wasn't anything like that. But I imagine that's something that you'd have to be careful of. I did hear a story from a girl that she said when she tried it, she kind of had an accident in her bed, and I was just like, oh my God, I would probably have to do a lot more coke if that happened. And make her clean the sheets.
I had this friend of mine that told me a story, and he was telling me the story because I had ended up meeting the guy because he's I would say, how do I put this, an official around the valley. Apparently him and his girlfriend were having sex at the time, and they tried anal sex. So she gets on top of him, and she's riding him, cowboy style. And as they finish up, she gets off him, and apparently their assholes stretch, so everything just falls out pretty much onto his stomach. All the shit. But the strange part, what my friend added to this was that
they scooped it off
the
there
girls
and put it into a milkshake for Philip.
Yeah, scooped it off. As the girl's apologizing, the guy wasn't very upset. He was like, no, don't worry about it. I kind of liked it. Which,
back to the thing like with the gun. Like then you're like, oh, that was kind of nice. A little hot load
I don't think you need that every time now, but
but he knows now that he
I'm going to call my friend Philip, and he's going to put this into a milkshake, and I'll just have to pay him $500.
That's right. I'd make all kinds of money hanging out of his house.
All right, so I'm going to get going, and I'll listen to you guys' show a little bit more. Philip, you're cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
all right.
Talk to you guys later.
All right, bye.
Bye.
When you were using those fancy words talking about anal sex, I had pulled up an article, and there's apparently an epidemic of buggery is sweeping the country.
English.
According to the latest statistics, more than 69% of women admit to having gained their what they call brown wings, and 3 out of 10 say they accept regular deliveries via the tradesman entrance. Gaining their brown wings is now seen as more important to fashionable young women than losing their cherries.
Really?
And it's exactly how it sounds. It's in England, man.
Wow.
But just the way they word everything. But taking a stroll down Bonneville Boulevard is no longer the preserve of the young and dissolute. Fudge packing, it seems, has come out of the closet and entered the bedroom to become the sexual equivalent of designer chocolate. If you're not a regular potting the brown, you're snookered. Why are so many British women bending over backwards to take it up the bum? So apparently it's an epidemic over there. That all these women love it. The younger they are, not younger, in their late teens, obviously, old enough. They tend to enjoy it more and do it more. I don't know if it's a fashion thing or what, but some of the people they talked to in this article were funny, dude. The one, Sharon, a 43-year-old mother of 5 from Chipping Salisbury. Gerald gave me a simple choice. Either I took it up the bum like a man, as he put it, or he would walk out on me and the kids. The pain wasn't the worst part. It was when he insisted I give him head afterwards. But what do? He's my husband. I love him.
My thing is, first of all, he's going, tuck it in the bum, like a real man, like a real bloke. And you're going, wait a minute, now is he saying, like, take it like a man, or is he saying, take it like a man, like, when I'm up at the pub, this guy, he takes it really good for me, so I want you to take it from me.
The thing when you use words like that, take it like a man. It's like, yeah, was he thinking about, hey, this is, is this Jerry's asshole?
That's right. He's like, don't look at me.
It's kind of sad though when I started reading more of this article. Everyone's doing it, said Katie, a 19-year-old secretary from Romford. If you haven't got your brown wings, You're like so yesterday. Know what I mean? Okay. It hurts a bit the first time. My boyfriend and I did it. I always cry a lot afterwards, but hey, that's a small price to pay for love, right?
Wow. That's a woman you want to marry.
I gotta say, these English women are very loving, man. They'll do almost anything.
Again, like,
they won't
don't
go to
leave
the
me.
fucking dentist, but they'll take it in the ass.
They're like, don't leave me. My last thing on anal sex is we're gonna end the show with Sergio fucking me in the ass. Being as you always said that, I always want to fuck you, but no, Dr. Drew always says that these women, he's worried about people who have anal sex, like a lot, like the porn stars, because then you're going to have a prolapsed anus, and shit's just going to fall out, is what I imagine. With prolapsed anus, you just hover over the toilet, and everything just drops.
That's funny you mentioned that. This last one that I have, it was Mandy, 29, from Bowling Hollow, Essex, was bitter about her experience of uphill gardening. I guess uphill gardening. They fucking talk so strange over there.
I guess.
I started regular fudge packing 5 years ago. Now I have to wear a butt plug all the time to stop myself leaking. I'm so stretched I have terrible gas. What with the thrush and the piles, I hardly go out anymore. And the doctor says I'll have to wear plastic knickers for the rest of my life. Gaining my chocolate wings has ruined my life completely.
Now, the thing is that first you go, I don't want my husband to leave me, so I'll do the anal.
Yeah.
And then you do the anal, and then you're shitting and leaking all over the place, and your husband leaves you because you're fucking disgusting.
You smell like shit. Yeah. You know, honey, you go to the gym all the time and you let me bang you in the ass, but you smell like shit.
You're fucking leaking all over the sheets. I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
I rolled over in that in the middle of the night.
You ruined every cushion in my house, all my cars.
Sorry. Where are these plastic diapers?
Although I got to say, just the way they write, the language that they use, it does sound more distinguished, right?
Yeah. Well, everything in English.
I started regular fudge packing 5 years ago. Say it in an accent, you can say almost anything.
I asked this girl out that was from England, and I told her, I said, I asked her out. She said no, but I told her, I go, it's so interesting because you sound so proper. And I said, and I couldn't imagine you slamming your hand in the door. Oh fuck! I slammed my hand in the door. Ouch! That hurts me greatly.
Now, did she say we sounded like fucking monkeys squealing at each other with our accents, or what?
She didn't say. She ended up getting a job for London Jewelers doing a voice for them, but she never said anything about us. But
you hear the term
have
"stupid American" just thrown around all the time, and I wonder, is that because of our accents that they think we sound stupid?
Because of Joe Arpaio and the Mexicans say that about me, not you. But where did you want to go now? The bad jobs or the what you would buy if you could buy anything?
What would you buy?
I would buy an island.
That is so funny. I said the same exact thing.
That's why we're friends. Yeah, Johnny Depp bought an island, and I remember it was after all 3 Pirates movies, and he did an interview on David Letterman. And he's like, "What'd you do?" And he goes, "Oh, I bought an island." And David Letterman's going, "You what?" It's so odd for somebody to go, "I bought an island," but he's got his own island, and you could build whatever you want in there. There's no, codes that you need and all that. You can just
of course, yeah.
build a
It's
house.
almost like having your own little country. I believe it or not that I have the money, but I've looked them up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's varying degrees of what they classify as an island. There's islands that are, just rocky little, things that you can't really live on. You wouldn't want to unless you put a shitload of money into it. But then there's also ones where you can buy and there's a mansion already built on it with boats and whatever else. It's
nice.
It's really amazing what you could buy if you had the money. If money wasn't the object, you could buy an island and build, a 5-story mansion on it and live like a king. And that's one of the reasons I was like, oh, that's what I would buy, because I would, as much as I love watching people and society, I despise him sometimes. I just want to get the fuck away from him.
You just want to be away. Well, the bad thing, like I was thinking about that, is then it sucks because then you tell your family, like, come and see me on my island, and everybody goes, you're too far away. I don't want to. So then nobody comes to visit because you're, you know.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty good with just my family and the immediate friends that I have coming to visit me. It's weird because I love to watch people, but I don't like people. When we go to Venice Beach to hang out, I would sit on a bench all day and just watch people walk by and make up in my little stories in my mind and just keep watching and walk by. Yet when you get into a big crowd at Disneyland, it's just not enjoyable. It's not. It's you know, it's annoying.
It's more, yeah. It's just frustrating and people annoy me. Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing, and this sounds very Mexican. If I had money, I would buy cars. I would literally have a garage that was, you know, 50 feet by 400 feet wide.
But I know you, when you'd buy regular cars, you would only have about 70 lowriders. You wouldn't have, no, you might have about 2 or 3 lowriders, I would think, and the rest would be like old cars and regular.
I'm a fan of a lot of
70 lowriders. Would it be 70
well,
lowriders? So, because I'd buy one lowrider and just keep painting it. And then I wouldn't have to buy a bunch. I just paint that another gaudy color.
You have that white trash in you where you would buy you have the white trash in you and the love of movies where you would buy obviously Steve McQueen's, you know, Mustang from the Bullet. You'd buy what, Dukes of Hazzard's.
I'd Dukes of Hazzard, the Dodge Charger. I'd buy the Trans Am from the Smokey and the Bandit. I'd buy the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and I would buy
Mad Max.
Mad Max. He had a Ford, but that's only available in Australia. He had his. Okay, we'll look it up. I'll look it up here in a second. But yeah, I'd buy all those and muscle cars and all that, and some old cars, and I'd buy my dad a '34 Ford 5-window coupe because that's what he loves. But other than that, yeah. But then on your island, you couldn't drive anywhere.
You're right. I have to drive like.
I have to get a larger boat. How do they make those?
Just one road that goes just around the island, tears up the beach, and it just goes in circles.
And my bad jobs, which I wrote down, and then I didn't even really, I forgot about it. So I used to work at Revco. That was one of my first jobs when I was in high school, a sophomore in high school, and it was used to be like a Walgreens. They're no longer in business, Revco. But and I would work there, and people come up and get so upset. It was being a clerk that people are so upset that you do something wrong, and they're like, how dare you, you know, you need to ring that up. I'm like, hang on, and the guy just leaves and yells at me, and then the next person in line was like, don't worry about that guy. He was a jerk. I understand. You're trying to learn. Go ahead and, you know.
It's funny because I've worked with you, and I know how you get when people get when people get angry with you, and you get very flustered and you don't know what to say or do. You're just, you know, you almost like freak out and you freeze like a possum play dead.
No, this was I was younger, but
yeah, I'm sure you're more confident then.
I was like, fuck that guy. No, I was just trying to. I was being nice to him and trying to deal with him, and he was just rude. And then another one this was actually a good job, but I was a child photographer. Sounds wrong.
Sounds very creepy, yeah.
It was working for like Duke's or whatever those places are, the little photo places. I forget the name of it. And you go and they show you how to, like, you use 2 fingers, like a peace sign, and you just to move their legs and their face. Like, you can't caress them, you can't touch them with your whole hand, because then they go, that guy touched me inappropriately, and then you got to explain. So if you use 2 fingers, then you just, you know, guide their legs where they're supposed to sit, how they're supposed to sit, do all that.
Guide them open.
No. But that was an okay job. And
you know, I had the shitty job dealing with people. It reminds me of right now. I used to work at a B of A in their call center. And it's basically, I was the person that you called the fucking bitch out when something went wrong with your credit card. And it was frustrating, man. It was probably the worst job I've ever had. It was hell because every day you go in there, you know people are going to fucking be pissed off at you, are going to yell at you, are going to fucking, you know, and all you had to do was just be calm and polite and try to work out the problem. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm good at my job now dealing with people is partly because of that training, as much as I hated it.
See, thank you, Bank of America.
And I had that job was so bad. I even had a job where I was carrying out carpet out of a hotel that was being renovated.
Munching carpet
in July, in the middle of July with no air conditioning. So we would have to. It was when I was in construction. We would go up the flight of stairs because there was no electricity. All the windows were busted out because we were renovating it. We'd rip out the carpet. There was no windows on that side where they had the trash bin, so we'd have to go down about another 2 or 3 flights of stairs till we got to the second floor. Then we could throw the carpet into the bin. So it was horrible work. Carpet, sweat, and just heat, man, just unbearable heat. I did that for about a week, and I was like, fuck this.
Man. Yeah, I used to, that reminds me, I used to do tree trimming and palm trees and yard work with my mom's boyfriend. And that was just, that was one that taught me a life lesson where I remember it was a summer, I was off school. I was like, cool, it's a summer, it's my junior year, I'm just going to hang out and do nothing. And he was like, oh, well, you're going to work for me this summer. And I go, how much money do I get? He goes, you get the roof over your head and the food in your belly. That's what you get. And I was like, and you can't argue with that because you're like, wow, I've been living there for free.
I do like living here and eating.
I do like eating. So I said, okay. And then he gave me like some money every once in a while, but it was mostly just that was where I would go to work and you'd come home and you'd realize this is what your life's going to be, is working to pay your bills, and doing all that.
Yeah.
And but that was good because it taught me those things. And then every time I go to the movie theater, I used to work at AMC, and that was
your dream job.
Seemed like a dream job, but it was after high school. Yeah, when we were in high school, I worked at the Glendale 9 Drive-In. And then from there, after high school, then I got a job at AMC. And but the thing was, if the till was off, you couldn't get to see free movies. So the whole thing sucked. You're like, I want to work here because I get free movies. And then you get to work there, and then if you work a day shift and I work the afternoon shift, and you're short on your tally, then I don't get to go see a movie because it affected everyone. And that was their way, of course, of saving money or whatever. And
well, saving money and getting the people that are ripping them off out of the...
Right, exactly. So we would do that, and that I hated because the fucking floor was sticky in the back. You fucking had to deal with people that were just like, it was just a barrage of people that would, the movie's getting ready to start, and it's like, okay, and they'd come in, and I was so focused on helping them that I wouldn't smile. I'd just be helping them. But I'd be in a good mood, but I guess you couldn't tell because I just had this straight look on my face. And the manager would have to come by every once in a while and go, Philip, smile, and I go, oh, okay. And then one time I remember I wasn't even thinking because I'm helping everybody in line. This guy comes up, he asks for a hot dog. So I get the bun out, and I get the hot dog with the tongs, but I'm holding the bun in my hand. And I put it in there, and I go to give it to him, and he goes, I don't want that. And I go, oh, why not? And he goes, you touched it with your hands. After touching all this money, then you turned around and got my hot dog with the same hand. And I go, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then I was like, oh, shit, because there were people behind him, and I'm like, everybody's going to go, I don't want any food from that guy. But
at least it cleared out your line. You'd have to work again, right?
Yeah. Then cleaning the popcorn makers always sucked because it was just full of grease, like the big things make popcorn. And you clean it.
Yeah, I understand what a popcorn maker is.
Well,
is that a thing that makes popcorn?
I've worked with them twice in 2 jobs that I've had, so I don't know. I was thinking it was an elite thing. But you had to clean them like thoroughly. Like you would clean it, and I would go, okay, it's done. And the guy would go, no, you need to wash it down so that there's no film on it or no, it would still feel greasy from the butter. So it just sucked.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Clean the whole thing, and he'd go by with his finger and go, no, clean it again. And that's fucking really hard to do when you're not soaking something to do it, and you just got to get hot water and try to do it. And anyway, that sucks. So every time I go to AMC, I feel bad for those people. The best job I had was manager of a video store and working at Castle Boutique, which quite fun.
Well, I would say the funnest job was Castle Boutique, one of the funnest jobs. But no, I actually had a movie-related job. I used to work as a busboy / room service in this hotel, and it was kind of had been back
room. That was Tim Roth. That wasn't you.
Right. And they had a movie crew come in to film kind of a made-for-TV movie. It was a made-for-TV movie because it was starring Nancy McKeon, Joe from The Facts of Life. So I got to actually meet her. The other person that was in the movie, which I really, really was excited to meet, and he ordered room service, and I had told anybody, I said, if he ordered room service, I'm taking it up to him, was Mo Green, the guy from The Godfather.
Oh, yeah, cool. And?
He was in the movie. He was a very nice guy. I was just, you couldn't sit there and bullshit with him, but I went up, delivered his food, and I was like, oh, I'm a huge fan, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, thanks. Very, very nice man. I ended up working from meeting those people and delivering room service. I ended up working for the food truck on my day off on their movie set, just helping the guys serve food to all the stars and everything.
Stereotypical thing? They were just like, there's a Mexican, put him in a food truck.
No, I really think it was because I was skinny, and the guy at the time was a flaming homosexual with a little dog, hugely heavy guy, and was just, offering me a job because,
a job. What kind of job?
A young boy at the time.
Offered you a job. Not a hot load in the mouth for $500?
No.
It's a kind of job. Just for I guess, did we touch on everything? I guess so, except for movies. This week you saw Social Network. I didn't go to the movies, but I saw Karate Kid.
Well, I've never seen that.
Karate Kid, the new one with Jaden. I'm looking at you like, what?
I have not seen the Karate Kid, the new one, but you know what? I don't have a lot of desire to watch it. I'll eventually watch it when it comes out on cable, but I don't find the I'm guessing that the little black kid acts like an over-exaggerated little black kid, loud and saying these crazy things, and they're like,
racist.
Am I wrong? Did he not say some things that you were like, oh, I knew he was going to say that because,
You're right. Where's the watermelon and the chicken? Real loud. Oh.
Really? Nothing in the movie that you were like,
no.
That was expected?
It was the thing of him being in China, and he's in Beijing, and he's trying to fit in instead of the opposite, which was, Danny was put into California where he wasn't from. He was from Florida, or vice versa, however it was. And no, it was different, but it wasn't the same. Like, I thought it would have that same feel as the first one. Like, it was just so cool. But it was either because you knew the ending or whatever, and I was waiting for the crane thing, and he did the crane thing once, but just for like a little pose, but he never used it to defeat the guy at the end.
When the movie was coming out, the new one was coming out. When the movie was coming out, we watched the old one. And the old one is still a really good movie. And I think it has to do more with nostalgia, us being our age and being able to, relate to the songs, the clothing, the way the kids looked. The one thing that really, really struck me was the fight scenes and how bad they were. I never realized, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, yeah, look at fucking, what's the name? The Miyagi's fucking kicking their ass. But if you look at it, not even in slow motion, just in normal time, he's kicking, and they're like 8 inches from his face.
Oh, yeah. And then they
fall against the fence. Yeah, it was really, really, really bad fight scene.
Wow. Yeah, what was they did beat him up really, like on the original it seems like they just beat him up a little bit.
No,
and they would
beat him
pick
up pretty
on
bad
him.
if you go back and rewatch it, yeah.
Okay, because I haven't seen it for a while, but I just remember on this one they beat him up, but also then they kept fucking with him, and it was just like, But the other thing in this movie was, in the original, I liked how it was like, wax my car, paint my fence, sand do all this, and it was all this stuff that he had to do that then it all worked out. Wax on, wax off, do this, do that. This was just, he had the kid hanging up his coat on a hanger, like on a little peg.
Yeah.
He'd hang up your coat, and the kid would, and then he'd say, put on your coat. Take your coat off. put your coat on. And it was all this thing with the coat, which was kind of cool, but it was always that. It wasn't like you show up one day, he goes, okay, paint the fence. And the thing that was cool about the original was he was like, you're just fucking using me, old man. You're having me paint your fence. You're having me, sand your car or whatever, wax your car, sand the floor. This is ridiculous. And then finally when he gets fed up and he goes to approach Miyagi, then Miyagi shows him what he's learned. This one was more like finally like, man, this is ridiculous. Just hanging up his coat for 70 days in a row until he finally gets upset about it. So it was like, wow.
Yeah, see, I don't know, man. I probably judged the movie before I saw it, but I have no desire to watch it. I think the classic is a classic. Stop fucking making these. I was excited when I heard about they're making a remake of another 80s, well, actually, I guess it'd be 80s film, The Thing. They're remaking The Thing from John Carpenter. And I've heard good things about the remake. But now, when I started looking at John Carpenter's resume on IMDb, they're remaking like half of his movies that he ever made. Precinct 13 they've already done. Obviously, there's Escape from New York and Escape from fucking...
They're going to be doing Escape from New York, yeah.
Another one? Okay. See, yeah, I mean, they're doing so many movies, man. They don't have any fucking original ideas anymore. And although I'm happy about some, like I said, The Thing, hopefully it's a good movie because it's supposed to be a prequel of The Thing. Hopefully it'll be a good movie, but...
A prequel? Oh, interesting.
But I'm frustrated that they can't think of anything new.
That gets upset. And then, John Carpenter, I wish he would do a new movie, but do something like that wasn't horrible. Like the last movie, I think, was that Ghost of Mars or whatever, which was not good. And he needs to go back and do something like, although you look at Big Trouble in Little China, and that's so odd to try to people watch this movie. What's it about? Well, it's a comedy, and it's this, and it's so hard to define what it is. But
he must like Kurt Russell.
Well, yeah, that's
3 of
what
his films.
What was cool was he got him. Kurt Russell had done all these Disney movies and was working for Disney and was a young kid. And then finally he was like, why don't you? He got him after this Elvis movie that he did or something. Or no, he put him in an Elvis movie, I think, TV movie. And then he put him in the first movie that him kicking ass was Escape from New York, and nobody had seen him as this
one of the greatest characters ever created. It's
you were dead.
It's funny because it's one of those things where if you go back and look at it, Snake Plissken is so over the top, but he's one of those characters. If you watched it ever, you remember him.
Yeah. He's an iconic character that you always remember. The another movie that I saw was Get Him to the Greek. Did you see that?
I have not seen that. Matter of fact, we plan on seeing it in the next couple of days.
It's pretty funny. It's a good one. I mean, I kind of fizzle out there. It's kind of good. I mean, it's supposed to be, it's the same guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's the same rock star. But the other kid doesn't play the same kid that he did in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. But it wasn't as funny as Forgetting Sarah Marshall, but it was still funny, and it was, it was good. And so that's what I saw, and then I haven't seen anything else. Oh, what about the network?
I didn't want to talk about that now since you haven't seen it. There's a lot of things I would love to talk about it, but
I mean, you would say that it was a good movie, though, and people should see it?
I thought it was an excellent movie, man. I plan on going to see it again, and I don't say that about a lot of movies.
Which is funny because, like I said, when I told you, Social Network, David Fincher, and you were like, a Facebook movie? That's ridiculous.
Well, you know what? Believe it or not, I didn't think he could pull it off. But once I found out who the writer was, Aaron Sorkin, once I found out who was directing it, I was like, you know what? It's bound to be a good movie. And with David Fincher, I mean, I've loved almost all his movies, man. The way he directs is just awesome. But I don't want to talk too much about it until you see it because I don't want to give everything away.
I'll see it on Friday or something. So, all right. Well, like I said, like I always say, that you got to check us out on Facebook and iTunes. Subscribe to us on iTunes. And maybe leave a comment. Nobody leaves comments anywhere, ever.
Even if it's just say, hey, you guys suck. Leave us a comment.
Something. At least we feel loved or hated. And I'm Philip.
And I'm Sergio.
See you next week.
Luke! Take these two over to the garage, will you? I want them cleaned up before dinner.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now, come on, get to it.
Can you really deep throat balloon? You pregnant strippers make us swoon. What makes